Now, saving grace of this, his gunplay was really good.
I don't honestly think, I can't recall a time where Will Smith's gunplay in a movie is not good.
But that's the key, right? Like, Will is trained. Will understands, and we talked about this a little on the I Am Legend episode too, but Will takes this serious. Yeah. That clip of him, taking the gun away, making it safe, when other people are around that's how he acts in real life, I don't know if that was staged or not in that moment, but who cares? It's
social media, everything's staged apparently.
Exactly. It's important.
This podcast is rated PC for Pew Culture. Pew, 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 pew.
Welcome to the latest, hold on.
It's called Pew Culture. I don't know if you remembered what we were doing this week.
I remember vividly what it's called. I'm just trying to figure out how to get my introduction down.
That was the introduction. We're already recording. We can't start over.
All right, fuck it. Welcome to this episode of Pew Culture. I'm Colion Noir.
And I'm Jake.
And today we are talking about Gemini Man, Jake's favorite movie.
Not my favorite. Not even my favorite.
He loves Jaden Smith.
He wasn't even in it.
He kind of was.
And
by proxy.
Did he get killed off?
Who?
In it.
Talking about Jaden?
Yeah.
No, he was in it by proxy. His dad was in the movie.
That doesn't make any sense. So every movie that Kurt Russell's in, all of a sudden now his kid is in it too? Wyatt?
Is his kid an actor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait a sec. Let's take this a step back.
That was a question to make a point.
We're going to take this a step back. Have you seen the movie?
That was a question to make a point.
Do you know that you actually knew he was an actor, right?
I was asking a question to make the point. I was like,
okay.
Is he an actor? And
yes.
You said yes. So
okay.
If he wasn't an actor.
So what about the movies before he was born? Like Escape from New York?
He wasn't in those movies by proxy.
Because he wasn't born?
Because he wasn't an actor.
So being born...
No, you have to be an actor too.
That's so weird. I wouldn't consider Jaden Smith an actor.
So was Jaden Smith in Men in Black?
Was Jaden Smith born?
Yes.
Was he acting then?
Yes, he was acting since he was a little kid, like in Pursuit of Happiness.
Then you have your answer.
That was the best Jaden Smith movie.
What?
I don't understand how proxies work. So we're going to skip that part, and we're going to move.
It makes perfect sense.
People are going to watch this and go, for whatever reason, Collins was smoking crack that episode.
But not by proxy.
No, you weren't. You were doing it yourself.
Yeah, all I'm saying is by proxy. Because if you think about Gemini Man is about Will Smith, and
it's not about Will Smith. It's about a character that Will Smith plays.
Okay, but there was also another person that was supposed to be representative of, I guess, him when he was younger.
Henry, and he was essentially a genetic clone.
Which is kind of like his son.
Is it though? Because in order to make a person, here's the thing. It's called The Birds and the Bees, and this is how it works. All right, mute this. A man and a woman.
I'm just saying, for all intents and purposes, it was his son. Even though he was a clone, but for all intents and purposes,
it is technically
his son.
So is it your son?
Okay,
no,
it's him.
It's more like being a twin. It's more like having a twin.
I don't know why. I don't know why they're entertaining this conversation whatsoever.
We just keep going.
I it was not even serious in this.
This movie, Gemini Man, is a movie about a guy named Henry who is an assassin, and his son. No, Henry is an assassin, a really badass assassin, like best in the world. They end up cloning him, and they use the clone to try to kill him. And then you have to figure out if you're better than your younger self.
Which we all know. I mean, it's an interesting thing because there's a certain point where, so you would think younger, more vital, more energy, more athletic, so forth and so on. But then there's a point where the knowledge that you've gained as an older person. That's
the funny thing. You would think, okay, if you're making a clone and you have all the genetic material, are you able to implant the history into it too? And I think that he kind of knew what was going on, and he had all the skills and everything, right? But I mean, old Will Smith definitely, he's just better, which is cool. He also has cooler guns, generally speaking, so that helped out too. But long story short, I didn't really like this movie. However, I had a ton of fun working on it. It was okay. The issue that this film had was, listen, Ang Lee's the director, and Ang Lee is a badass, right? Okay. Great director. This was they were using a new technology, actually multiple new technologies to make this film. There was a camera that no one's ever heard of before. No, it's never been used before. This was the very first time it's ever been done. So that made it, one, it made it difficult to film because you're filming the same shot over and over and over again, not because it was wrong, but because that's how the camera worked. And you were also filming with multiple cameras every time because the main camera they were filming on would only be able to play in like IMAX theaters. So then you had to film on secondary cameras to put it out in non-IMAX theaters. And it was just a huge process which ballooned the budget. And we talked about budgets on which episode was that we just talked about budgets?
I know what you're talking about. Dune.
Yes, we were talking about Dune and how big the budget was. In comparison, so remember, this movie was made in 2019. This movie had a
budget of $138 million.
Yep, $138 million.
And they made $174 at box.
That was total. So you remember how we talked about remember how we talked about Fast and the Furious though?
Yeah.
How, their budgets are huge and they know they're going to make their money back. Well, usually you're going to make at least half your money back, right? Paramount lost $111 million right out of the gate on this. So that was a huge loss. It was really, really bad. But, at the end of the day, they ended up with the digital releases, the international releases, all that stuff, they ended up getting their money back, but it was close. This one is one of those times where they say the juice is not worth the squeeze, right? If they could go back in time and refilm this, they probably would have not filmed it in the way that they did out of the gate.
What do you think it was that caused it not to be received well?
So a lot of people didn't understand the story is a little convoluted. So the CGI to make young Will is also a little uncomfortable sometimes.
That's you nailed it on the head. Even though I did not enjoy the movie, it did feel really uncomfortable.
And it's so weird too, right? So like we'll give Elijah the pictures and we can put them up because I think you've seen them. But like, there's pictures of me with the guy who plays young Will Smith, and he's a nice young man, like 2 feet taller than Will, and like they do a really good job of him playing the stunt roles, but then capturing Will Smith's facial expressions on what they're, and then superimposing them. Yeah. Another really funny fact about a Gemini Man is this movie has been tried to be made since the 90s. So it actually started. Disney held the rights to it in the 90s. Disney tried to make this film, but they actually paused it. They canceled the making of it because they didn't have the technology to create what the movie was.
Gotcha.
Then from 2000 and I think it was 2005 to 2008, Nicolas Cage was actually tapped to play this.
Which makes sense.
Makes sense. Face Off, right? Yeah. Like you're like, okay, this, like I could see this. He ended up convincing Jerry Bruckheimer, another good picture of me with Jerry on set. Jerry Bruckheimer is one of my favorite producers ever, right? Jerry Bruckheimer is the mind behind Pirates of the Caribbean, Top Gun Maverick. Like, you want to talk about the king of action movies? It's Jerry Bruckheimer. Okay. The dude is a legend and a super nice guy. But Nicolas Cage convinced Jerry Bruckheimer to go and make... anyone who says Gemini Man is bad, I go, okay. But at least you weren't Nick Cage convincing Jerry Bruckheimer to go make The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is exactly what happened. And then in 2010, Jerry Bruckheimer funded and produced Nicolas Cage's The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is still one of the worst movies ever. It's really, really bad.
I barely remember it.
That's because you shouldn't remember it. Like, the only reason I knew that about it is because Jerry Bruckheimer. But it's really, really bad. So
I think one of the things about this movie was,
Dude, Sorcerer's Apprentice got a higher IMDb rating than Gemini Man.
and I mean, okay,
5.4.
it's still really bad though.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, again, I'm not coming at this. Action movies fall into, especially gun guy action movies, right? They get a different pass than IMDb rating gives, right?
Yes.
We sit down and we look at things and go, did that take me out of my element for 2 hours? And did I enjoy the action? Because Peter Berg films, Michael Bay films in general don't get massively high IMDb, scores, but they do their job,
Yes.
And Netflix, actually, I will give Netflix all the credit. They figured this out better than anybody. Like, they know how to crank out some action films and make them enjoyable so that way you can sit down for 2 hours. See, Nick Cage casting lightning bolts. Come on, man. Did you see Renfield too?
I think the
That was
problem
not
with it,
good.
I think the problem with it is because it looks like Nick Cage in Con Air casting lightning bolts.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't
Nick-
unsee it. Like I just see Con Air and magic.
Now my problem is every time I see Nick Cage and Con Air, all I can think about is Aaron Rodgers, because you got that picture of Aaron Rodgers as Con Air up.
No.
You ever seen this?
No.
This is the hardest flex you'll ever see at a like opening of an NFL season.
Okay.
We should have Aaron on the show too, because he's a hardcore movie buff. Can you even tell the difference?
Yes,
Aaron Rodgers is on the left.
I know.
Nick Cage is on the right.
I'm aware.
He doesn't watch football, so he doesn't know who these people are.
I know who Aaron Rodgers is.
Do you?
Yeah.
Did you hear he's going to be? He is one of the top picks for Kennedy's running mate for vice president.
Why?
Don't ask me. He likes psychedelic drugs, so maybe it's that.
I guess.
You have to
hard.
like psychedelic drugs to run as an independent.
That's hardly a basis for why I would actually want somebody to be president, but hey, if they like it, I love
Vice president.
it. Same shit.
Yeah, pretty much. No, so okay, back to the thing. But yeah, so Nick Cage was going to be Will Smith in this.
I think that would have made the movie an instant 9 out of 10.
Probably. Pretty much everything that Nicolas Cage does is amazing.
I
Like the Beekeeper.
don't want to say this, but I agree. I think if this was Nicolas Cage, I think something about him and his demeanor works better for this type of role than Will Smith's. It just felt uncomfortable.
It did.
It just
There was not a time in the film where the other thing is I really felt like Will was now not Offset. Like there's a really again, here's a picture, me and Will backstage, right before we filmed a scene in Savannah, Georgia. But I felt like as soon as the camera came on, Will was like trying to cast these Robert Neville vibes the whole time. Like, this isn't zombies, buddy. Like, the whole world, your family isn't all dead. You're an assassin. Like, you can lighten up in parts of this. It's going to be okay.
Well, I think, and I love Will Smith. We all know he's one of my favorite actors. But he does have a tendency to facially overact.
He does.
That's one thing I will say about him. And every once in a while, he'll do it, and it'll pull you out a little bit. And
Now, saving grace of this, his gunplay was really good.
I don't honestly think, I can't recall a time where Will Smith's gunplay in a movie is not good.
But that's the key, right? Like, Will is trained. Will understands, and we talked about this a little on the I Am Legend episode too, but Will takes this serious.
Yeah.
That clip of him, taking the gun away, making it safe when other people are around not, that's how he acts in real life, I don't know if that was staged or not in that moment, but who cares? It's
Social media, everything's staged apparently.
Exactly. It's important. But so behind the scenes of this, I was there. So I was on set for this film all the way through the Savannah, Georgia filming. The second unit director, head of stunts, the stunts in this film are fantastic.
Yeah.
The reason why.
I mean, I enjoyed the movie.
Yes,
I know
in
you like
reality,
it, but
enjoy action film. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, the story barely matters at the end of the day when it comes to a movie like this.
I don't know, because I kind of got into it a little bit because, remember Peter? We were watching a little bit of it, and And he like fast forwarded to the action part, and I was like, no, I was kind of getting into the whole drama aspect of it again. Like the story, because it is an interesting story. On a surface level, it's a very interesting, compelling story from the standpoint that you're an assassin fighting your younger self.
The story is good. I mean, that's why they tried to make it so many times, right? Yeah. That's why the book was so well received. There is aspects of the story. It's just the problem is I still don't think that technology was up to snuff with what it needed to do. Like, the technology that we have just still, like, yes, we can make Pixar films, we can do all of these really great things, but I think the only way you make this movie, like, the best of the best is actually to clone the guy. Because at the end of the day, the technology just left you going,
kind of going,
It makes you feel uncomfortable, and it's not Will Smith. Like, you just know it's not him. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But
there was that kind of bit like unease. There's a certain unease, especially when the clone was on the screen. It's the clone really that made it uneasy.
Yes.
I honestly could have been just fine with Will Smith just being a movie about Will Smith as an assassin.
Yes. It would have felt
just fine.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
And some really cool bad guy could have came after him.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure, Ice Cube, he feels like a good bad guy to come after Will Smith. I don't know. Like, he was great as the voice of Superfly in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
He was.
He was so good.
That was
like, I'm not kidding.
That he voiced that.
The new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you haven't seen it yet, have you watched it yet?
No.
Dude, it is.
No.
It's on a whole nother level of freaking amazing.
Really?
It is. So first of all, you have Seth Rogen writing and directing it. I loved it. I loved it. It was amazing. And Ice Cube's the perfect voice actor for, a badass.
Yeah, but Ice Cube has a very iconic voice too.
He does. Absolutely.
So.
But so on, we're in Savannah, Georgia. We're getting ready to do all of the scenes at the we're at the old style houses. It's downpouring rain. Really, really cool stuff too. That behind the scenes movie stuff, which is did you know that you can never actually film in the rain because it doesn't actually show up on camera correctly? So they bring in these They bring in the giant sprinklers.
Gotcha.
And then they have to light behind the sprinklers. So perfectly clear, beautiful night in Savannah, Georgia. And they've got, a freaking 100-foot sprinkler system out there making it rain hell so that way they can make it look like it's downpouring rain. But I remember there's a scene where he is sniping out of a second-story building in Savannah, Georgia, and we filmed that scene for 3.5 hours to get one shot because of that stupid camera. And it took forever. Everyone was miserable. Everyone was tired. Will is the most upbeat person. He's just really, look at that. They freaking figured out how to use a RMR that is actually freaking cantilever mounted. Good for them. And you know what the other great thing about Ang Lee and Will Smith is? They're dead serious about using the correct reticle. That is an actual VCOG reticle because they look through the reticle and they go, this is what's in there. They don't just pick a random thing off Fiverr and go, you know what? This is what we're going to use.
We use this one.
Because doesn't that drive you crazy? Even though I don't like EOTech, when you look at it and you're like, the death donut isn't in there. That.
It's that is,
come on.
Come on, what are y'all doing here? Yeah.
But so we're having, we're there watching. The reason the reason the stunts are so amazing is because it's JJ Perry. Mm-hmm. JJ and I have been working together for a long time. He's now directing. We did Day Shift. We got a new movie with Ice Cube coming out. Can't talk about it too much, but a little bit of Ice Cube, a little bit of Dave Bautista.
Okay.
That's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll have JJ on the show to talk more about that. But it just takes forever. And then I see they get done with one of the shots, and they're like, "All right, set it up. We're going to run it back." And I'm like, "I'm out of here. I'm going down." There's probably a food truck.
So what was it about this camera? What is it about the camera that makes it so hard to get the shots?
It's not that it's so hard. Well, first of all, a camera like this the camera that they used required such specific and perfect lighting to even work.
Gotcha.
It is, here you go. The Arri Alexa.
Okay.
And this was, like I said, very first movie ever used making it. And it was miserable. Like, it was a miserable experience. Like, even just, I felt bad for everybody because if it wasn't lit perfect, if it didn't move perfect, if every single thing wasn't perfect, you're doing this whole thing over again.
Why did they have to use that camera?
They didn't have to. Yeah. The whole goal was to go, okay, we're making this super technologically advanced movie, right? That no one's ever seen this kind of CGI. No one's ever done this. Like, how about we use this camera that's going to make the movie even wilder?
But how? It looked like when I watched it.
You had to go see it in the special theater, the special IMAX theater, to actually see how it played.
Gotcha.
So now when you go back and watch it on your 4K TV, it doesn't even do what we spent all the time doing, which is what, going back to the whole budget conversation, if they knew what they knew, they could have cut that out. Yeah. And I bet you it would have cost them $100 million to make this movie, and they would have came out on top.
I think this is like a $50 million movie, easy.
You have Will Smith in it. So you know what I mean? Like,
he was the only A-list actor in the movie.
No, Clive Owen's in it.
Oh yeah.
Clive Owen's not like, insane, but I mean, obviously Sin City, Children of Men, which we're going to cover Children of Men later, and Sin City. And then you had Mary, what's the girl's name?
He got paid what, 12.5? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you and that doesn't even count any profit bonuses at the end either. So
wrong business.
Yeah, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she was the other one. She's well known for, Scott Pilgrim and stuff like that. So she was okay. Not like listen, when you have a Will Smith, a Jason Statham, a Denzel Washington, you just need to have a solid cast. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be the Avengers every time, which is or Fast and the Furious. Because let's be honest, the only thing that carries Fast and the Furious is the cast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Without the family, there is no movie. And they know that too. That's the reason why Vin wanted Dwayne back so bad. But that's never going to happen, and we're never going to get Hobbs and Shaw again.
That's unfortunate.
That was so good.
It really was.
Well, Vin is going to be done, according to rumors. Vin is going to be done after 10 Part 2. So that will open up the Fast franchise back up to what's going to happen. Like, what are we going to do? We're going to get a Deckard Shaw standalone film? Because that would be awesome. Yeah. I'd take that in a heartbeat. Maybe bring in, like, Ludacris or something like that to go play, tie in the worlds together or something.
Is he just going to show up at the end for family dinner?
It'll be in the post-credit scenes, and he'll be randomly racing someone in Tokyo again, for no reason.
Spaghetti.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. But gunplay for this film is with a Will Smith movie, it's going to be good.
I think that's why for me I kind of enjoyed it. I think if there wasn't as much gunplay in this movie as there was, I honestly probably would have been kind of like,
Yep, probably would have just dropped it.
Yeah, because the gunplay in this movie was good.
But they.
How much training does Will do? Do you know?
Depends on the film and depends on what he's doing, but Will is definitely one of those guys who's going to put the work in.
You can tell just by, and it's not even like they don't have to do crazy stuff to really know if somebody can handle a firearm. Like, it's small movements. It's just, does a gun feel and look natural in a person's hand? You can tell.
100%. Films like this they're gonna have a pretty good technical advisor too. They're gonna have former special forces or someone along those lines, someone who's been in the movie industry and can really help. Because again, the way that this dude moves is way different than like Keanu moves, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Keanu is trained in martial arts and 3-gun. Like, it's a way different type of training.
Will gives me very much a civilian who's done a lot of shooting and training.
Yeah, 100%.
That's exactly how, and I think that's why it's so relatable, because it's like he's not specialized, but he's just a guy that got into guns, and now he knows a lot more than he ever did, and he knows how to work his way around the gun.
Yep, 100%. He's basically is Colion.
I was waiting for somebody to say it. Yeah, y'all took forever. Like, bat that shit, man. Come on.
I was gonna try to avoid it because now, I
was gonna keep setting it up higher and higher.
I already barely fit it. I barely fit at this table with his head as big as it is, anyways. So you guys aren't helping.
All I did was
You should have played Will Smith's son in Gemini Man.
Dude, for real. I already told you, you kind of sound like Will
that would
Smith.
have just been weird because then it was like me as his son, and then there's Willow, and you know my thing for Willow. It just
Dude,
that's just odd.
Please cut that. Like, that's gotta go.
I actually am taking a note on that one.
You can play it in a reel, just make sure I'm not in it. All right.
Yeah, I don't want to be in the family. I want to be part of the family.
I got it. We don't have to go further into it. Anyways, guns. One of the cool things about this movie is they let us get a little bit more creative with the guns than normal because it doesn't.
I kind of like how uncomfortable this makes everybody. But let's go back to what I was saying about. No, I'm joking. All right, go ahead.
The guns. They let us get a little bit more creative than normal because it's not a military movie. So we don't have to stick to anything that was used.
I noticed that like more and more because before I never paid attention to it, but I always noticed with the military movies, like they're cool because there is a lot of gunplay, but it's all so standardized. There's no personality in the firearm setups. No.
Well,
right?
You know, a great film. We all love it, like Black Hawk Down, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to do creative?
No, I'm not
blaming
him. I'm just saying, like,
it sucks.
It's just the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we work like great miniseries that's out right now that we worked on is Masters of the Air. Don't know if you've had any time to check it out yet. It's on Apple TV. It's amazing. It is absolutely phenomenal.
What's the context of the movie?
So you know Band of Brothers?
Yeah.
It's Band of Brothers, but it follows the B-17 bomber groups.
I did start watching. I'm stupid.
Yeah, Austin Butler. Rumor has it that he might be starring in Heat 2. Oh, might have to keep our eye out on that. But we worked on Masters of the Air. We're in the credits, like all that good stuff. You can go check us out. But we rebuilt B-17 cockpits. Like we went and found German anti-aircraft cannons that were deactivated that we worked to reactivate.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of military replica World War II parachutes. Like if you go watch this film, everything down to the little finest details had to be perfect because it was Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks.
Gotcha.
And they were paying tribute to a group of men who we wouldn't be what we are without. So they wanted it to be perfect. And between us, Chris Cole, who is the prop master for the film, so we work directly with Chris Cole, and then our partners over at Bapti and Loki Film Services, like it is an absolutely phenomenal piece because, and we say this all the time, the props are the characters too, right?
Yep.
Without the way that it was put together, like you couldn't have told that story. If you didn't know, if there weren't journals, if there weren't pictures of everything all the way back, you wouldn't know what to put in it.
That's true.
And so that is the beauty and the curse of making movies about things that have already happened, like Black Hawk Down, like Saving Private Ryan. Like you can't get creative with the guns.
Yeah.
Even Lone Survivor, like. We had Marcus Luttrell to tell us exactly how these were. You couldn't get creative at all. So when a movie like Gemini Man comes along, even if you read the script and you're like, or Beekeeper,
well,
if a movie like that comes along, you go, oh yes, like finally we can get a little crazy. We can do some different stuff. And so like that's where like this very nice sequence comes into play, right? Suppressed, we got,
What's a setup for a left-hander?
For a what?
Set up for a left-hander.
Because I set it up for myself.
Oh, my bad. I forgot you were weird.
But we got to, actual suppressors, rugged suppressors, actually getting to use some different optics that we don't normally get to use in films. This one uses a Trijicon SRS, which is obviously now discontinued. But do you know the other movie that uses a Trijicon SRS that we'll be covering in the next couple episodes? I'll give you a hint. Benicio del Toro.
That's nothing for me. That one Mexican movie.
Oh my God. I'm leaving. I'm done. This was supposed to be a good show about movies.
It's that one Mexican movie, right?
It's Sicario. Sicario 2 specifically is the next one we're covering, his UMP. But the Trijicon SRS is such a cool movie optic because it
really is
big, and it's so big, it's so iconic. Like
it just
it
has a
unfortunately
presence about it that most optics don't. I'll give it that.
Yes, it's a really cool movie optic. I didn't hold up the greatest in real world, but in for movie stuff, it looks awesome, which is why we use it so much.
No, I agree with you. Like visually, it's perfect for movies.
You want to know the other really cool thing about this? That a little behind the scenes movie information about what this gun is. The actual gun used for this film was the Punisher's Seekins.
Yeah.
It was just refitted.
Yep.
But it's the exact same gun.
Beautiful thing about the platform.
Yep. And it was the NXP-8. It was the exact gun that John Bernthal used in the first season, just refitted for this film. Pretty badass.
I dig it.
And then, of course, Will used he had a micro Galil. This is our full-size Galil. We had both options available, both fitted with VCOGs, $3,000 1-6 for no reason. Also a VCOG on a micro.
Yeah, because when I saw it, I was like, I'd probably put a red dot, and then I saw he was running the offset, so I was like, okay.
He had the offset the whole time. They wanted to do that on purpose because they wanted to feature the filming down and have the cantilever.
Gotcha.
So they wanted to show that he did that, like he actually used it.
Gotcha.
And then of course John Wick comes along. He does the same type of stuff.
So you're trying to say that they
I'm not trying to say anyone copied anything, but what I will tell you about movies is the more, not complex, but the more movement options that you can have, the better it is for the scenes, right? Like that little thing right there, that just gave them 3 scenes by take gun out, red dot, flip gun, now you find your guy. Like you just got all these different cuts out of the motion. If it was just, and this is what drives people crazy about the no optic, right? Like, well, now you don't have any way to film down the sights. You don't have any, there's no extras that you can throw on.
Can we give them a shout out for using the brace?
Yes, they did use the brace. How cool was that?
Yeah.
So obviously Will Smith didn't want to file a tax stamp. You jerks.
The Galil was a good choice for this too.
Galil was a cool choice. Again, not something that gets used that often.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see those pop up. Main handgun, Terran Tactical with Trijicon RMR.
Yep.
Not surprising. Terran is somewhere in just about everything that we do. Which nothing wrong with that. He makes a great product, and they use both the 17 TTI Combat Master package as well as the Glock 34 TTI RTS package. The motorcycle chase scene, fantastic scene, really fun. The stunts were really cool in it. They were using Brugger and Thromet in that, which they even had we had to make a custom holster for it.
Yeah.
So that way you could get to it. And then a Sig Sauer P226 was his other handgun. But for as cool as a gun guy movie as this is, between the main characters and like main guns being seen, you only actually have 13 firearms featured in the film.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of gunplay, but not a lot of
not a ton of
guns.
One of the cool things about it is he's a freaking high-end assassin, right? You're not just giving up your guns. Like you're not running them, dropping them, throwing them away. Like you're actually reloading, you're moving, you're fighting through things. The Seekins scene, I mean, between him and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, they held on to these guns through that whole scene. Moving, shooting, they set these guns up for them. Yeah. They're not just going to give them up. And that was another really cool piece of it that was like, okay, like we didn't just have 4,000 guns in this film that were getting thrown away after 2 or 3 shots. And if you're a firearms manufacturer who's working with us to do placements,
your gun's gonna really be in
there. That's a really great commercial package. Yeah. So some pretty interesting stuff. I mean, outside of that, like it was just a not well received film.
again, I think a lot of it had to do with, like you pointed out, it just kind of uncomfortable. Like the guy just the clone, he just
That doesn't look normal.
it doesn't. It feels
This whole thing, like that motion in there too. I don't think it was done well because they have moments on those close-ups, and you see his face, and you're like, "Wow, they really spent a lot of time on that. That's fine." But then it cuts to like the regular CGI. And
and you're like that sums off. Like, but I still enjoy it. Like you said, like I said, the gunplay, the action, it was all there.
Oh yeah. See the way that moved. This looks
that's
like
what
a
it was.
video. You know what it looks like? You know what that CGI looks like? And it's super sad to say it, but it looks like the movie Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. That is the same. And we have now moved that Free Guy and this were like 5, 6, 7 years apart. And with Free Guy, it was supposed to look like that. It's supposed to be over the top. You are a video game. The problem with Gemini Man is it felt like it looked like a video game.
True. That is absolutely true because and that's the thing. I think it was just
Look at it. It looks exactly like it's the same CGI. It's literally the same technology being used, but for video game stuff. Like it, man. How good! I loved Free Guy though. I love the idea behind it.
It was a very fun watch.
Ryan Reynolds is just. I mean, he very rarely strikes out.
Right.
Notice that Deadpool poster in the background
because he plays Ryan Reynolds.
That's very true. Yeah, he does everything well. The Easter eggs in this were just absolutely solid too. We have that shield. You have Captain America chime in on it. Genius. But yeah, so I mean that's the biggest issue with it. I think if you stripped that film down, back down to its grassroots, remade that film as let's just make a standard action film. Like let's go back.
Yeah, I think it would.
Let's make Taken. Let's make John Wick. Let's make The Equalizer, but make it off of what Gemini Man's story is. I think you have a box office success.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, you still have the pull of Will Smith in it, so it's
I think it was somebody that kind of fell in love with the idea of what they were trying to do in terms of the technology, and the process of making it seemed more entertaining than what the end user sees.
Well, and you're never gonna tell Ang Lee that he can't be the first one to do something, right? Ang Lee made Life of Pi, like visually one of the most expression, the Life of Pi was so ahead of its time visually that no one, people could barely comprehend it when it came out. But then he also made your favorite film ever, Brokeback Mountain. You can't tell Ang Lee he can't make a movie about 2 gay dudes and be the first one to do it.
Okay.
You love Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Who told you that?
Peter?
Nah, Peter didn't tell you that.
Peter said it. Peter?
I've never even seen Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, yeah! Holy shit, that was amazing. Peter,
That wasn't that funny.
good job.
was-
Literally, when everyone in here is
It wasn't
laughing
that
like
funny.
that, you know it was that funny.
Like that wasn't even that funny.
That was amazing.
That was amazingly average. I've heard him tell way funnier jokes than that.
He's not allowed to say any of those jokes when we're filming, though,
Why not?
because they'll just be bleeped out the whole time, and you'll be sitting here and
You
people.
said far worse.
But I am allowed to because everyone knows that I'm gonna do it.
They know that about Peter too.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they
They
don't.
do now.
Peter's basically a saint. That's what I was
Whatever
told.
he wants.
This is true. All right, back to the gun.
Man, that was a good one. But Ang Lee has made some crazy. He made the first Hulk. Like again, CGI. Like not the best movie. Okay, but at the time, you couldn't tell him he wasn't going to make a CGI Hulk, and then he went and did it, and it was okay for the time.
It seems to be a common theme with this guy.
Edward Norton was Edward Norton was not the
Slightly
right
above
choice for the Hulk.
Yeah, like great use of technology, or innovative use of technology.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, and then with the movies just being kind of meh.
Yeah, he made a lot. He made some good Jackie Chan movies. He made Down to Earth.
You seen that one, Peter? Huh?
Peter loves Jackie Chan. but that's also what makes him really interesting, right? Is Aang is not going to turn away from a challenge. He's going to push it. And people also know that if you're a producer or whatever, and he's going to push the limits.
Yeah.
You just know that going in, and that's okay. So yeah, it's he also did Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Okay, so I'll give him that.
That was a great movie.
That was ahead of its time when it first came out. I thoroughly enjoyed Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that between that and Life of Pi, like he had a couple like actual bangers that did crazy good at the box office too.
I'm just like I'm looking at some of the images of this little camera. So the whole time they just use that little camera.
No, there's a whole rig too.
Oh, okay.
That little camera. So that little camera is like his. That's the rig right there.
There's two separate cameras in here. It looks like that are kind of mirrored on.
Have you ever seen like a 3D rig where you basically have to film with two lenses? Like, so they actually, it was popular for like 5 minutes where they were putting out these 3D handheld cameras that basically just have two lenses side by side, and it would film both at the exact same time.
Gotcha.
And then the images would like parallel, and then you could watch them with like 3D glasses, and it would make it pop out some. That's how 3D technology like works in the most like backwards hillbilly PhD ever. This camera's like that, but on freaking steroids. Like you're literally filming with two cinema rigs at the exact same time, side by side, trying to mirror each other, which is why the shots didn't work all the time.
Gotcha.
That's why you had like if one started filming at the wrong time, like if they didn't start exactly right, or they like there's so many issues that could happen during filming that it just kept. And the camera, the cost of the camera just to have it there is insanity. And then you have to hire a special cinematographer to run the thing because no one knows how to use it. So that little thing that you see in the BTS pictures, like that's based. Yeah, it's he uses that to go and see what the frame will look like in a spot.
Okay.
You don't use the actual camera to start filming. He uses this as a kind of,
He goes, all right, he's going to stand here. He's going to have the gun this way. We're going to move it this way. And so now that I know that, you need to set up this 4,000-pound cinema rig right here.
Okay.
And that saves you a lot of time and resources by not just setting up that track, because everywhere that camera goes, you got to have the railroad tracks to do it. So yeah, crazy shit. It was just a wildly not fun process. Like I'm sure,
Like I'm seeing all these pictures of this Will Smith standing and the guy's just.
he would be sitting there for hours.
Yeah.
It was either that or it's like, all right, I'm going to go back to my trailer. The dude who was playing his double, so like his double was also like his stand-in. So that guy who is having his face CGI'd, which how freaking much does that suck, right? You're an actor and you're like, all right, we're calling you up to the big leagues so we can superimpose Will's face on you. This special camera and it's going to be crazy. And then people went and watched it and they were like, whoa. Like people were getting sick.
I don't think people care.
No.
Like I think if you just tell a good story, direct it correctly, and people just want to see a story
at least
executed on camera correctly.
At least on a film like Gemini Man, though, the source material wasn't like this freaking text written by J.R. Tolkien that was so freaking like
riveting.
The story was all you needed. All you had to do was film it right. It didn't need a special camera. At least they tried this on a movie like Gemini Man, where the risks, other than the cost, the risks were generally pretty low.
I think they did this. I think they saw this as a way to market the movie.
Yes, it was. That was it. Thank you. Like you figured out the secret recipe. You're right. You have figured out the secret sauce. And so like people ask all the time, they're like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Why does Fast and the Furious do the things they do? Why did they have $100 million marketing budget? Like, because the story's not good. Like, it's not. The story. There is no story anymore. Yeah. Like, it's just a bunch of random shit. The
story is the filming.
Exactly.
At least in Gemini.
The story for A Fast and the Furious is the family, the cars, the people, the actors. How much shit? Same with the Expendables, right?
Yeah.
Now, the first Expendables had a story.
Yeah.
It really, like the first
Which is why it
Expendables, it took because it was a good story. But then they figured out, all right, we told the story. There's not much more that we can do here. Instead, let's just keep going and putting legends in.
Yeah.
We'll just shove as many legends in the box as we possibly can.
That's not what made the Expendables, I think.
It's not the first one.
No. And
But
so-
it's what made 2 and 3. It's the
Two and
only
three
reason
sucked.
that people went and saw them.
Yeah, but 3 sucked.
It did suck.
Yeah.
Also, like, I'm just going to put this
Keep in
out
mind,
there.
Jason Statham was in it. I like everything
Jason Statham was so if they would make the standalone Jason Statham Expendables movie, like just do a movie about Christmas,
Yeah.
like I'm down with that.
Yeah, I'm
like
down with that
give me that film.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, like the Jason Statham Megan Fox romance, I did not like.
Yeah, first of all, she overacted that whole role.
She's not a good actor though. She wasn't a good actor in any movie.
She wasn't. And
She-
she just kind of like her look, it just kind of you were like, oh, Megan? Like it's kind of like it's like that girl. That's gonna be bad. It's like the girl you had like a super crush on in high school, and then like 20 years later you run
So-
into her and you're like, oh,
You're literally like talking about every dude who is a 90s kid who grew up in the 2000s and watched Britney Spears, and now they have to see Britney Spears now. Like that's literally what you're saying. It's so weird. Also,
Dude, she's going off for her.
Megan Fox's gun handling skills makes me uncomfortable.
and then the fact that they try to pass her off as this like super badass.
It makes me
18 leader
so
type shit. I'm like,
so uncomfortable the whole time.
and then they don't pair well.
No, they
Jason
don't.
and Megan do not
You
pair
know,
well at all.
you know who Jason Statham paired with far better than Megan Fox? Melissa McCarthy in the movie Spy.
Yeah,
Like seriously, you've watched that movie, right?
yeah.
One of the funniest films ever. Like so good, and like he's trying to be a badass and not pretend that he's not in love with Melissa McCarthy the
Yeah.
whole time in the film, but he is. So
just-
good. But that was Spy, and Melissa McCarthy did a better job of acting and made a better film than Megan Fox did. Megan Fox isn't an actress. She's just a random person that Michael Bay found.
She was a model.
It was
She
so
ruined the movie.
She did. Like
I'm sorry, she ruined the fucking movie.
it was so bad.
And because I was watching it, and I was like, oh, Jason, and I was like, Stallone, and then it's like Megan. And then her whole personality was just so brash when she came on the scene, like her first introduction in the scene. It was just kind of like, rah! I'm like,
Yeah, that first scene where they walked into or when they come into the house
Yeah.
and she's like having the meltdown.
yeah, and I'm like,
Dude,
yo,
no.
relax.
Like it was uncomfortable to watch. So then as soon as I watched that movie, I went back and watched the first one to save myself. Like, because that's the only way. If you are watching a series of films, the only way to fix it is to go back to one if you have to watch one of the ones that are bad.
Yeah, but I just think, I mean, but again, I think it's like the same thing with Gemini Man. I think it was just a situation where they sometimes you just do too much. And I think with the Expendables 3, they just tried to do too much. And I think just don't try to do too much. Just be what you are, right? And, you know, I actually enjoyed 50 in it. But I like when 50 makes random appearances.
He's fun. He's a fun guy to just have pop up.
Because you can tell he's like, oh, this guy's just enjoying himself right now.
You know that 50 is like a championship horse breeder. You know that? Hey, can you look up 50 Cent horse saddle? Go to there's a really good picture of him in a cowboy hat. He rides horses and stuff. No one knew this about this guy. Like I randomly came across this.
I didn't know this either.
There it is. That's the picture, the first one. He's like a freaking champion horse breeder.
Now I see why he moved to Houston.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got to get a hold of this guy. We got to get him to come on because he's been, here's the thing.
I mean, the hat fits him. It
50
actually suits him.
Oh, he needs to be in like the next modern they should put him in freaking Yellowstone. That would be badass.
I would actually be.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna text
Yeah.
Sheridan right now.
Humble brag.
I gotta go to work. I'll see you.
Okay. Well, that was another episode of Pew Culture. I'm Colion Noir and Jake.
I'm Jake.
Humble bragged and left set. And I'm the one with the big head.